He is a former world-class judoka, Anthony Carelli, who went on to become a star in the WWE. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Our guest today hails from Toronto. He has spent 37 years in judo. He has 30 plus years as a black belt, five-time junior national medalist, former junior national champion, junior world team member, judo and grappling coach at the Battle Arts Academy in Mississauga, first ever Judo Canada ambassador, former Intercontinental, US, and tag team champion, 10-year veteran of WWE, now with Impact Wrestling. You may know him as Santino Marella. We know him as Anthony Carelli. Anthony, welcome to the here, my friend.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a very nice breakdown, man. Sometimes it's nice to see things written down and take a mental inventory of some of the stuff you've done over the years. That's nice.
Oh, that's good. And you know what? I got to add to that list that trainer of champions. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But you had quite a career, first of all, in judo. What are your highlights from that particular sport?
Oh, man, the biggest thing I took away from judo is that I came second place in Canada 4 times before I finally won the gold medal, and it was just a perfect education for life. You come close, you come close, you come close. You don't give up. You try a little harder. You surround yourself with the right people, and you just give it that little extra that's necessary, and you can accomplish it. And I've taken that lesson and applied it to every other aspect of my life.
Well, they say you can't keep a good man down, and that's obviously the case. Second place, but you keep persistent, and away you go. You finally get that gold medal. I want to talk a little bit about the Canadian junior team or the Canadian judo team because you are the ambassador for Judo Canada, and Canadian team has done very well the last couple of years. First of all, I want to talk about Jessica Kumkate coming off that gold medal performance at the World Masters in Hungary just a couple of weeks ago, from what I understand. And what an incredible couple of years she's had. She got the gold at the World Championship and the bronze at the Nagano Olympics. How's Jessica doing?
She's good. So Canada is in this rare position for the first time ever. We have the number 1 and number 2 girls in the same division from the same country. And it's kind of terrifying because whoever goes to the Olympics in 2024 can easily get a medal, but we can only send one. So imagine being at home, because one of them is going to be at home, and watching the Olympics, knowing you could win them if it's your day, and you're not even being able to participate. Yeah, it's going to be thrilling and heartbreaking at the same time. But they're both incredible, and they're a testament to Judo Canada and the provincial organizations and how well they're working together. And it all starts from the IJF. The International Judo Federation is incredibly well run and organized, and then it has that trickle down effect to all the countries. And judo's big, man. The World Judo Tour is actually huge all over the world. Of course, I know in North America, because of MMA and UFC, the wrestling is really big, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is really big. But around the world, judo is huge. And Canada is actually a country that's very good at it.
Well, you want to talk about her toughest competition, who just happens to come from Canada as well, Krista Deguchi. Now, she recently beat Jessica at a Grand Slam event. She's a two-time world champion. Now, these are two incredible women, two of the world's best, as you mentioned, both in the same division, both Canadians. It was like, is there any way that one of these two girls could maybe move into another weight class? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you come into, there's a body type, right? And in the weight classes, I mean, the heavier you get, there's larger weight classes. So the smaller weight classes, there might be 5 pounds between them. And the bigger weight classes, I think every weight class you move up is an extra kilo or something like that. So if you move up one weight class and these girls above you are dieting down from above, it's a big difference. It's a big discrepancy in the weight. You could have someone that after they weigh in, they rehydrate and they might be 15 pounds heavier than you if you're struggling, to make that division in
Mm,
terms of moving up. But then it also comes down to ego. This is my division. You move up,
yeah.
right? Um, but you'd think that Judo Canada, especially if there was a weaker division above or below, that there'd be a sit down and say, hey, you gotta diet down, lose some weight, or you gotta gain weight. And it happened in the past. One of my roommates, Nicholas Gill, who's now one of the national coaches, he locked down 86 kilos for quite some time. And my roommate, who was probably naturally 86 kilos, said, all right, well, I'm going to 95 kilos, and moved up and made the Olympics. So it paid off for him. And, he had a top 5 finish at one of the Olympics, and just avoiding someone who was an obstacle. So it's a
Right.
tactical decision to get to participating in the Olympics is paramount. It's number one. The result is like the bonus, but just going to an Olympics, I believe, has lifelong residual benefits. I mean, you want to get a job in the future when you're older and you have Olympic athlete on your resume. It just tells so much about you. You can work in an organization. You're disciplined. You're goal oriented. There's so many things that being an Olympic athlete can tell somebody about you, and it makes you, I think, a hot commodity anywhere you go.
Right, and of course, Nicholas Gill went on to pick up an Olympic medal, which is pretty impressive. Speaking
Multiple, yeah,
of the
silver.
men, yeah, yeah. So speaking of impressive men, how about Shetty Alnahas? Recently took part in the World Championships. He was doing great until he suffered an injury in the semifinals and had to settle for fifth. Was that disappointing for Shotty?
Yeah, he's come fifth now on the world stage a couple times. Is this where he hurts his shoulder in this
Yeah,
video? Oh gosh,
yeah,
that's yeah,
yeah.
it's tough. He's so talented, and he's still really young. He has his arm behind his back, and that is very. You have to be careful because if there's too much pressure on the shoulder, of course, there's going to be an injury there. The tension is supposed to be focused on the elbow, not the shoulder. It looks like he got injured there. Yeah, he's so talented, and he's something like this. Sometimes a little break helps you focus and ground yourself and take it to the next level. He's one win away from an Olympic medal. One win. Last time he was in the semifinals. And if he won the semifinals, he's guaranteed a silver medal, gold or
Yeah,
silver. You're in the finals.
yeah,
And he
yeah.
lost the semis and then lost the bronze medal. I mean, it's so close. It's so close. And I know when he's done, like we talked about it last time, when he's done judo, he's going to come over to pro wrestling, but you definitely want to walk away with a little hardware hanging above the fireplace or whatever, wherever you're going to showcase it. But he's a super talent, and I follow him on Instagram, and he just looks like he's having a great time in life in general, and he's not his life is just not only judo. Um, But next year, the pre-Olympic year, it hopefully will become all judo. You have to be obsessed for that short period of time. You have to be absolutely engulfed and submerged, and there's nothing else in the world except the Olympics. And people that are able to do that, sometimes you have to move away from your family for a few months to really focus and dedicate yourself. But if he does that, again, like myself, that one more step, that one he can do that
Yeah.
and get an Olympic medal, that'd be amazing.
Well, I know that it was hard particularly for Canadians during COVID, but Shoddy was able to, make his way through that and really stayed focused and did incredibly well. I mean, he's won the Commonwealth Games gold medals. He's won the Pan Am Games gold medal.
Yeah.
He's had a very impressive career, and I could see him doing extremely well in the next Olympics as well. And what a launch pad that would be for him if he decided to go into pro wrestling after that. And speaking of which, I want to talk about your career in pro wrestling because it's been impressive. Uh, First of all, let's talk about the beginnings and your first uh, your first kick at the can and your first, you know, characters, if you will, like Johnny Giobasco and Boris
Oh my God.
Alexiev. Tell us about these guys.
Oh, so it's funny. So my mom was telling me a story that when my dad first met my mom in Toronto, he lied about his name. He said his name was John Giobosco, and my dad's name is Frank Carelli. And my brother and sister and I, we got a huge kick out of it. Like, what? Where did he come up with that name? And so then it was my first match. It was May 1999. I was in a battle royal in Cayuga, Ontario, and they said, "What's your wrestling name?" And I'm like, "Oh gosh, I don't even have one." So I just said John Giobosco to kind of. I think, pretty sure my dad came to watch. So just if he heard it on the speaker, he'd laugh and get it. You know, kind of a tribute to my dad. So, and then it just stuck around for several matches, and then I was off. Actually, even in Japan, I had Johnny Giobosco as well. Um, and then when I came to OVW, I was given the nickname Boris, and my original coach was Don Koloff. So I took the Boris because once Rip Rogers called me Boris, everybody was calling me Boris, and that was my nickname, and there was no escaping it. So I went with it, and I contacted Don Koloff and said, "Can I be Boris Koloff?" And he gave me the blessing to use the Koloff name, and then I was Boris Koloff for gosh, a couple of years until Paul Heyman actually was watching up in the rafters, like the Phantom of the Opera, watching our practice one day. And after it came up to me in the parking lot and said, I want to debut you on OVW TV. And I'm thinking of going with Boris Alexiev because Vince McMahon was always a fan of the Russian Olympic lifter
Uh-huh.
Alexiev. And just to have that association with the name of somebody he really liked would, immediately and right off the bat put me in a good favorable standing, right? So, which I thought was brilliant, and I went along with it. So then I was Boris Alexiev, and when I got signed to WWE, I was Boris Alexiev. Right up until the day I got the call, and they said, "Can you speak Italian?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely, yeah, for sure. What do you need?" And they said, "Well, Vince has an idea of this character coming out of the audience in Italy, and can you say some things in Italian?" So I said a couple things, very basic phrases. But there was nobody else Italian on the other because I was on speakerphone in front of a boardroom, I'm sure, and there wasn't anybody Italian enough to realize how basic my Italian was. So they flew me out, and I debuted like the next day in Milan, Italy, and then all of a sudden I was Santino. There he is, there he is, um, and Boris was. I remember asking one of the writers, I'm like, "Well, what's going to happen to Boris?" And they're like, "Forget Boris. This is Vince's idea. This is gonna have. A push and support. It's his idea." So it's funny. I got to Italy the day before, and so I got there Sunday morning, and this is Monday. So I had 24 hours by myself to walk around in Italy, and I had really never been to Italy. But the beauty of it is, at the time of my birth, my father was still an Italian citizen. So I was able to get dual citizenship, a passport. I really studied the language afterwards, and just really embraced the Italian side of my Italian heritage. So it was really cool. While I was in WWE, to really, you know, reconnect with my Italian side, and it all stemmed from this character.
Right. So here you are in Milan, knowing a handful of Italian phrases, I suppose, and representing Italy. And I I know that Vince McMahon is pretty strong worded towards the Italian crowd there. And but you were a hero in this bout, no doubt about it. You're facing Umaga, the Samoan bulldozer, and this is part of WWE Raw. And, your first bout is for the Intercontinental Championship, and you win the title. How cool is that to be introduced in this manner?
It was so crazy that it was like a dream. It was actually like a dream where I'm like, did this just happen? Did this literally just happen? And it was nuts, man. It was, yeah. I mean, and everybody, Bobby Lashley's still there, and so the town I said I was from in this clip, I said San Fili, Calabria. And that's where my dad's from. So
Right.
it's about a town of about 2,000 near Cosenza, and everybody in Cosenza or in San Fili is like the phones are blowing up. Like, someone from our town just won this champ. Who the heck is this guy? Marella. And they're like, no, 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 it's a character. You know, his name's Carelli, and they left in the '50s to Toronto, and we still have some family members there. But in 2018, January, I think it was 2nd, I went to San Fili for the first time, and it was fun. It was funny because not only was it where my family's from, it was also where Santino was from, fictionally, but that's where he was from. So it was amazing to go there. Actually, the
So
crowd was going crazy.
this is a day debut. This I don't think this has ever happened in the WWE. Obviously, Bobby Lashley had a lot to do with you winning the belt, but
Yeah,
this
a
has
little
never
bit.
happened in the history of WWE. I think before or since. You know, and then after that, you take the belt, and then of course you introduce the Cobra to the WWE, and tell us about that.
It's funny. So when I was in Japan, I was in Japan in 2004. I lived there for the better part of a whole year. In 2005 is when I went to OVW. 2006 is when I got signed. 2007 is when I debuted. But back in 2004, a gentleman friend of ours named Taro, he would show me this little thing he did with his arm where he'd transform his hand into this little,
Yeah.
like a puppet type thing, you know. He didn't speak English, and I was always like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, just a funny thing he does." And that was it. That was really the end of it. Then I think it was like 5 years later. I was in Atlanta, and I'm going out there to have a match, and I'm like, "Oh, I have an idea. I'm going to try and do that thing he showed me." So during my comeback, I'm like, bam, 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 and then I'm like, and I hit them, and the crowd immediately started laughing, and that was the birth right there, you know. Before, when I'd hit the person, they would turn away, and then I'd like roll them up from behind,
Right.
and
Right.
then I think it was William Regal who first fell off it, and then I covered him, and it became like a finisher. And then over time, we introduced the sock element for merchandise sales. But this is my most proudest part of the Cobra. When I go to conventions and signings, I've had people from 4 different countries tell me that the Cobra was banned in their elementary school because all the kids were doing it to each other. It was Australia, England, United States, and Canada. Over the years, people have told me, like, "Did you know the Cobra was banned in my school?" And I'm like, "Nah, I made it. I made it. If the Cobra's banned, I made it."
Well, you made the Cobra going to a lot of titles. I mean, WWE Superstars title. You know, you were in some big trouble at one point against JTG. He's got you in the sleeper, and out comes a deadly Cobra, and here we go. And it looks like he's
This,
able to duck it a couple of times, right? So,
yeah, he. I think this is the best sell ever of the Cobra.
right, yeah,
That one there,
that
the,
was pretty
the
awesome.
neurotoxin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, even
So,
now, I went to SmackDown on Friday, and I took my 4-year-old, and just I sat in the ACC glasses and incognito, and just
yeah.
watched the show with him. And I'm looking at the ring, and I'm like, God, was I like I really did that? Was I out there for 10 years? Like, it's just so crazy to look back at it. Well, it was, and I heard Triple H say it once in it was during a tryout, a large tryout with new recruits, and he said, if you get this job, it'll be the greatest adventure and the greatest time you ever had in your life. And it was insane. Like performing in front of massive live audiences is incredible. Traveling the world is incredible. Being on TV, it's awesome. Right? You have a lot of benefits, and then of course to get paid well for it, it was an incredible adventure. And I think back of it with the most fondest memories.
You have to be more than just a wrestler. I mean, you're an athlete. You're in character. You got to be an actor. So there are a lot of elements to it, and you have to, I think, tick all the boxes in order to make it, don't you?
Yeah, it's funny. Sensei Nakamura, who was national coach for many years, when I was on the national team, he said, "You are destined to be a comedian. You should be a comedian." And I was like, I'm not a comedian. That's, I don't know. I'm just funny, I joke around. And then he saw me years later and he's like, "I told you. Remember I told you you're going to be a comedian?" And then I ended up being a comedic wrestler. So Sensei Nakamura knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, and maybe a Hall of Famer one day. I've heard it being talked about, discussed anyway. Is that something that you think about?
Man, I try not to because if you get worked up or excited every year that the ballots are coming out, I just don't want to be disappointed. Right now, my daughter is in NXT. She's I believe a megastar in the making. She's gonna eclipse anything I've ever done, and she's look, that's before she got there. Yeah, she's
Vic's on
and
the
she
ball.
just competed. She just competed last weekend in Miss Universe Canada, and she got top 20. She doesn't really
Wow.
do pageants, um, so she had to train for it. Man, it's more than I thought. Like the learning how to walk and move, and it's not just put on a dress and look at me, I'm pretty. It was pretty intense, and she prepared for it really well. So she had an injury. She blew her knee out 9 months ago now, and during her rehab off time, she actually you know asked for permission to participate in the Miss Universe Canada, and they granted it. And she worked hard and prepared for it. Went out there to Vancouver and did it. So she did not waste time, and I think it really looks good on her behalf that she really capitalized on that downtime and did something for her brand.
Well, I mean, she's got motivation, no doubt about it. She's got a good somebody, a good somebody to mentor to follow. That's for sure. And yeah, so what we've seen for Bianca at Limited, uh, the sky's the limit, isn't it?
Yeah, and she's learning now. We're FaceTiming today with her brother and her sister, and it's hard for her, right? She's in Orlando, and she's missing out on stuff, and that's the other side to the amazing adventure. You miss out. You miss out. Period on a lot of stuff, weddings and baptisms and bachelor parties and birthdays and a lot. So she's getting a little taste of that, and um, it's a privilege to be there, and it's an incredible adventure. But it doesn't come. You don't get away scot free.
Right. Comes with sacrifice, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And for me, it was being away from her. That was the hard part. And now she gets to kind of go back and fill in the blanks a little bit, like where was my dad during all those times, and now she's going to see for herself where I was by being there herself, something like that. We've talked about it, and I think and it's also an incredible adventure. I'd let my two little ones get into the business too. How could you not? It's just you make incredible friendships that last forever. You see places you would have never, ever, ever seen, um, from small towns in you know Washington State or Wyoming or Salt Lake City, and to South Africa and Australia and New Zealand, like places that you could go, but the odds are, based on how frequent most people travel, you might not get there. So I
So
got
let's
to
talk
see
about
so
it.
many.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish that thought. That was good.
No, I just got to see so many amazing places in the world, and I was a geography major too, so I really appreciate the travel and seeing all the different parts of the world.
You also said, we talked about this before. You said that it's very important to say yes. When you're
Oh
asked to
yeah,
do something.
absolutely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then
Yeah,
you
there was a
saying
guy.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a gentleman. I mentioned it. Every time I mention it, I hope he doesn't hear that I'm talking about him. But because he was a great guy, he was hilarious. He was super hilarious, and he was asked if he could do something by Dusty Rhodes, and he thought it was somebody impersonating Dusty Rhodes. So he said no, I couldn't do it. And then, after the fact, saw that it was really Dusty Rhodes, and it
Oops.
probably haunts him. It probably haunts him. That was his chance to make it up to the roster and team up with the Undertaker or something like that.
Wow. Wow, that's an opportunity blowing, that's for sure. So, yes is good. And you said yes to Impact Wrestling. According to the website, you are the director of authority. Marella looks to lay down the law and ensure that each and every match is contested fairly. So, you're back in the ring, and recently you squared off against Dirty Dango, a nasty
Yeah.
dude who claims to hate wrestling, but there he is wrestling anyway. Uh, you know, you had the match in the bag, Cobra time, but Dango was got some help from Alpha Bravo in this match. No, let's face it. When you think about it, your training, you know, your judo background, you could do some pretty good damage with most of these guys, could you not?
I'd like to think so a little bit if I have my cardio up. You know, I'm not in shape like I used to be, but no, I think the old dog still has a couple bites left in him.
Yeah. And what do you like? What do you like about Impact Wrestling? Tell us about Impact Wrestling and where it is, where it's
Yeah,
headed.
so I mean, timing was everything. So I'm friends with many people, especially Scott Demore, the president of Impact Wrestling, and for the
Who's
prior to
Canadian?
COVID, I was he's Canadian, yeah, from Windsor,
Yeah,
Ontario.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, Prior to COVID, I was really locked down at Battle Arts Academy, day to day stuff, coaching, taking my athletes to tournaments, putting on shows. I was man, I can't remember how long. I worked like 7 days a week for a long time, and then COVID came and everything stopped. Gyms were closed down. Putting on large gatherings were closed down. My show on Sportsnet, Aftermath, we couldn't go into the studio. That was gone. So COVID kind of stripped life down to the basics,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
we moved up north, and Hamilton Wrestling Entertainment came in and, is a part of Battle Arts Academy. And I had small kids at home, and I didn't want to get back out there full time, and the impact schedule was lighter, and the world opened up again, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I think it's the right time. Um, I did a couple guest appearances on Impact in the past. The locker room is awesome. The talent level is insane, and I love that little underdog feeling. They don't have those multi-million-dollar budgets to put on shows and get in the biggest channels and the biggest arenas. But I care about the quality of professional wrestling. And I know Scott really does also care about what he puts out there and how people are treated. It was the right place at the right time, and I enjoy it. And I'm on TV again. I am getting involved in the production side of things a little more, and I love contributing to the future. Just everything, all the knowledge I accumulated over the years. Because when you go to WWE, that's not the final destination. That's like
Mhm.
going to Harvard, because you're sitting around Triple H and Vince McMahon and John Cena and Arn Anderson and all these brilliant minds, Undertaker. I mean, the list goes on. Brilliant minds that really understand pro wrestling deeply. And I was a sponge, and I asked a lot of questions, and I listened to a lot of stories, and I get it. I kind of took that into my coaching, and now I take that into my the next chapter, whether it's production or being an agent, and still being on screen, but helping the younger talent. And it's not like I'm coming up with this stuff myself. I'm just regurgitating what these brilliant minds told me. I just accumulated all this. I was a sponge, and now it's time to rinse out the sponge and let some of that knowledge out on
Right.
other people.
Yeah, you got some retention there, which is really important. So, you talked about keeping it local, and coming up for Impact Wrestling, there's an event in Toronto on Sunday, August 27th, called Impact Emergence, 8 o'clock. Looks like a big show. Are you going to be on the show wrestling?
I don't know if I'll be wrestling, but I'll definitely be there. Yeah, it's the 27th and 28th down at Rebel
Okay.
Complex. Um, the Toronto audience is amazing. Like, for example, AEW was here, sold out. SmackDown was here, sold out. Our shows are nearly sold out. I think the Sunday maybe a couple on Monday left. But the Toronto market just love their pro wrestling, and they're a very savvy market, and it's especially the Ontario independent wrestling scene. Some of the smaller indies, they also receive this incredible support. We're just lucky to live in this incredible market, um, even for ourselves. So Battle Arts Academy, the 10-year anniversary is this Labor Day weekend. So we're putting on a 10-year anniversary show, and the response again has been great. And I was looking through some old pictures because our 10-year anniversary is coming up, and the support we've had for 10 years. I look at all our old shows and they're packed and people cheering. And this guy on the screen right now is Mr. Ishikawa. So when I went to Japan, I trained at Battle Arts. It was one word, Battle Arts with no E. So it was just Battle Arts. And it had this, it was my favorite style of professional wrestling. It was this combination of MMA and pro wrestling. And it had different rules. There was no pins. It was knockout, submission only. And I thought with the growth and proliferation of MMA that this is the direction pro wrestling is going to go. And to a certain extent it has, but there's also different genres of pro wrestling. And so anyway, I was in Japan one time with WWE and met Mr. Ishikawa. His school, the original Battle Arts, had since closed. And I said, would you be interested? And he's like, I'm there. So as soon as he said that, I was like, okay. Because I knew my neck was, it was going to expire at some point. And I wanted to have a business up and running when that time came. And we did. We opened it 2013. And my neck surgery was 2014. And my career ended with WWE anyway in 2016. So, yeah, fast forward 10 years. And the crazy thing is, when you were a 10-year-old kid and you joined our judo class or our wrestling class, you're now 20 years old. So we've seen these kids, so many kids, grow up, go to high school, graduate high school, in college. Now they're graduating college and they're getting jobs. And to know somebody for 10 years from 8 to 18 or something like that, 11 to 21, you get to see them grow up and you get to be a big part of their lives. And we made, so for example, my wife and I, when we got married in 2015, it was a destination wedding in Mexico. And a lot of the people that came were members and lifelong friends. And it's been a family since day one. And it was a family run business. My dad was there mopping the mats and I was coaching and my wife was at the front desk, and it had that family atmosphere and it attracted families. And when you keep your kids in a sport from a very young age, they end up, and if they get into the competition side of things, they stay with you for many years. And you grow together, and your families mesh. You're lifelong friends forever.
Well, I want to talk about the gym here because you guys have had to go through some tough times, like every gym. I went through COVID and everything else, and you guys are still going strong and growing. And I think you've got a new gym opening up in Beaverton, if I'm not mistaken. And things are happening. You got the big 10-year anniversary show with Ishikawa and all that. So tell us about the gym, the equipment, and what you have there, and what's your mission statement at the gym?
Oh God, it was really community. And Battle Arts Academy is across the street from my old high school, Philip Pocock in Mississauga. And the fact that it was in my neighborhood, it was really important to me to provide an incredible value. I wanted to be it's a world class facility. A lot of our stuff is from the treadmill factory, and they put out incredible stuff. And then the ring and the mats and the bleachers. And I wanted to build what would have been a young Anthony's dream facility to come in and
Mm.
practice wrestling, amateur wrestling, practice jiu-jitsu and judo, and then have this wrestling ring where we can get experience performing in front of a live audience. And then when we graduate from the professional wrestling school, we're not going to, we're not going to be frozen or get stuck when we actually have to perform in front of a live audience. And over the years, yeah, this is an old video, to be honest, because a lot of these guys have since moved on, and there's Ishikawa-san, and that's what it's been. We've produced national champions in boxing. We have some pro boxers right now. We have currently amalgamated three different amateur wrestling facilities. One in Brampton, the Matman Battle Arts Wrestling, and we're kind of a regional hub for amateur wrestling right now. And I believe we won the Ontario's in terms of the kid team tournament. Our jiu-jitsu program has blown up. The MMA program is taking off. Uh, a lot of it is getting the right people. We've had some coaches that were not the right people, and the program stagnated, and didn't develop. And then we got the right coaches, and everything just blossomed and bloomed. And it's actually probably healthier than it's ever been right now. Um, it's yeah. Sometimes when it's busy and all the different sectors are busy. The gym is busy and the boxing area is busy, and there's kids running the ropes doing wrestling, and I kind of get that look around feeling like, man, I built this, man, and I designed it on a piece of graph paper, probably 2012, and then the building we found was almost identical, was 6 feet off from my original graph paper drawing. And then I had to learn a lot about, getting engineers and electrical and HVAC and structural fire code. Like, I didn't know anything. Accounting software, and how you scan your card to walk in, and processing
Right.
payments. Like, I had to learn everything, and it was an incredible time in my life. It was my first time being an entrepreneur. Um, and apparently, you fail a few times, but somehow we managed to hold on. And there was times, yeah, we were like just holding on, but we made it, man. We're survivors, and I think I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that we survived, especially with COVID. Oh my gosh,
Right. Yeah.
they,
It was a killer.
yeah, it was a killer, and we had to pivot, restructure, and do what we had to do, and here we are standing still.
Survivors, baby, survivors. And
What
so,
does Rocky say? Sylvester Stallone,
yeah,
it's not how many times you get knocked down, or how many times you get up, and that's how winning is done.
yeah, Rocky, you got it. So, you talked about the kids and how cool it is to see them grow up and go to college, etc. We got a couple interviews here you did with some of your students. Let's have a listen. Vic.
He's part of the judo program and wrestling program. You've recently won some competitions, gold medals. So, what have you taken away from the wrestling community besides gold medals? What have you learned about yourself?
Not to be selfish.
Not to be selfish. Interesting.
Not to do bad things.
Not to do bad things.
Yeah.
You become better, like a better kid. That's interesting. No one said that part yet. So there you have it, folks. Join wrestling. Put your kids in wrestling, and you'll have better kids.
Battle Arts Academy, Mississauga.
That's Caesar. Tell us one benefit that judo has had in your life.
So I was bullied when I did karate when I was 4, and now I'm no longer bullied.
So is it because maybe you carry yourself a certain way, or the people in your class know that you do judo, or?
People in my class know.
Oh, they know. They know better than to mess with Johnny Armbox. There you have it, folks. You're being bullied, join judo, and you will no longer be bullied. I can't guarantee that, but there's a pretty good chance.
Just some of the benefits, right, Anthony, from
Yeah.
putting your kids in sports and being involved in sports, and the changes that can take place. I mean, you know what that could be like, right?
Yeah, and I always debate whether or not I'm going to get into politics one day in the future. But if I ever do, I'm really going to promote athletics for kids, and then the next generation is not going to need hospitals as much and medication as much, and they're going to be confident. And I mean, we'll make it accessible for everybody, and we really have to push, a healthy lifestyle through sport, through diet, through community interaction, and it's the solution for so many problems. But for some reason, they seem to be taking it out of schools more and more instead of pouring it into schools, which is what we need. But it's what I believe in. I believe you have to become the change that you wish to see, and I wanted the neighborhoods and the communities, children to benefit the way I did. I started judo at 9 years old, and by 12, 13 years old, I was different from the rest of the kids. I was stronger, and I was, my athleticism went through the roof, and it just I enjoyed the life that I had, and a lot of it I feel was because I was a physical presence, because of the strength and confidence I gained from amateur sport at a young age.
It's so vital. Okay, so I want to ask you, Anthony. I'd like to ask our guests, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Oof, man, I'm pretty. I think I'm pretty conscious. I live in the moment. I constantly live in the moment. I start my day with gratefulness every day. I look around and just shake my head, especially with my little kids right now. I just can't even believe they're here. It's so amazing. Um, I try and tell people I love that I love them, and not have any regrets. The best advice, man, I would say step one is being grateful. You have to be grateful, and I mean grateful by stripping it down. Are you alive? Be grateful. Can you walk? Be grateful. Can you speak? Can you dress yourself easily? I mean, there's people that can't. Um, I've had the privilege to go to several sick kids hospitals and just say hi to the kids, and that has a lasting effect on me. I think more than the kids, and just it lets you know what the options are out there, and some of them are
Mhm.
really, really bad. And if you're blessed enough to never have to go there to Sick Kids Hospital, like there's, I just don't see how you can complain about anything. To be honest, you know what I mean. There's somebody out there praying for what you have, and you have to be mindful of that and be grateful. And I think everything starts from being grateful.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, so it's so easy to be caught up in our own little world and see such a the small picture and be dissatisfied with what we don't have and whatever, and like you said, there's we don't remember how blessed we are to be where we are, and that's so important. Thank you, my friend. It was been really great to catch up, and good luck with the academy. Good luck with Impact Wrestling. Good luck with all the rest of the show coming up. All the shows coming up.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
yeah.
being here.
My last 2 weeks of the summer are going to be pretty crazy. We actually are going to do something. I don't think it's really, maybe not supposed to say it exactly yet, but we're going to be at the CNE having a few
Oh,
matches. I believe the 25th and 26th,
awesome.
whatever. And we're going to be promoting the Impact shows at Rebel Complex down by the docks. And then
Hmm.
hopefully there I'll be able to remind everybody to come to my show in Mississauga on the 2nd. And after the show, we're actually sticking around, pulling back the curtains. DJ is going to start. We're having a celebration. We're going to have some cake and maybe some speeches because Mr. Ishikawa is landing from Japan on the 30th. He's coming in for the 10-year anniversary. He went back about 3-4 years ago. He went back. He was here for the first, few years, 5 years at least. So he touched a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people are going to come out to see him. He's an incredible man, an incredible coach, a legend in Japan, really, with his technical ability and work ethic. So it's going to be a celebration starting on the next week, actually. No, starting this weekend. Yes.
Right. Yeah, an old friend dropping by, a legend, and it'd be nice to see him for sure and catch up. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate you being on the program.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, more sports when we come back. My Woodbine Swiss pick of the week. Last week, I took the number 2 horse, Elysian Field, in the 164th King's Plate. But plate trial winner Paramount Prince took the early lead and was looking to go gate to wire. Well, Elysian Field was looking to make a late charge. Let's get the call now from track announcer Robert Geller.
By 2 lengths in the King's Plate. In second, Velocitor as they go inside the 3/8. Elysian Field, a filly coming out beautifully on the inside, coming after the stablemate. A length away came Twin City. Moon Landing running a big race. Behind them, Stanley House. And here comes Elysian Field on the inside as they turn the Mark Cassie pair in front. Paramount Prince, Elysian Field, Velocitor kicking on, and here's Javier Castellano. Stanley House trying to run them down. Paramount Prince in front. A furlong to run, dashed away for Patrick Husbands. Elysian Field in second. Stanley House in third. But Paramount Prince, Prince becomes the king. Paramount Prince wins the 164th King's Plate. A length and a half. Elysian Field second. Third, Stanley House. Velocitor fourth, and fifth, Touch and Ride. 2-1-93.
Patrick Husbands rode Paramount Prince to the victory, his third plate title, trained by Mark Cassie, who also notched his plate win number 3. Michael Langlois and Gary Barber, owners of the course. Cassie Barber also have Elysian Field, so that was a big payday for that duo. Speaking of which, the 13-2-1 triactor returned $588.10. Let's hear from the champs.
I ran it by Mark. I said, I don't really want to change this horse running. If somebody outbreak me, what it is. But he leave there running, and he just enjoy it.
Elysian Field, she ran a great race as well. I think he won the race at the break.
Yes.
He breaks really fast, and Patrick knew what to do from there. Gary and I were standing together, and after a half and 47-2, I said they're going to have a tough time beating him.
All right, this week I'm looking at Thursday night's 6th race, $114,000 over a mile and 1/8. Mark Cassie is hot, so I'm taking the Cassie train number 2 horse, Like the King, with Emma J. Wilson aboard, and I'll go with the 235 exactor and triactor. Now go to woodbine.com for all the latest racing information. You can also get the latest from Woodbine Thoroughbred and Woodbine Standardbred on Instagram and Twitter. Go to hpibet.com and darkhorsebets.com for your wagering options. Also, Bet360.
Discover the finest patio experience in Toronto at the Stella Artois Terrace. Situated on the 3rd floor of Woodbine Racetrack, delight in mouth-watering shared appetizer and raise a toast to the evening. Relish expertly prepared main courses that will tantalize your taste buds. Capture the beauty of sunsets. Indulge in delectable desserts. Secure your reservation today and immerse yourself in the excitement of the races. Enjoy an unparalleled view of the thrilling finish line.
Well, it's a special place, and the food is great, the atmosphere, it's really a nice experience.
Experience the enchantment of Stella Artois Terrace. Open 4 days a week. Undoubtedly the city's premier patio destination.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca.
Attention security seekers. Ready to take control? Introducing Corporate Protection and Investigative Services, your ultimate solution. Retailers tired of losing profits to theft? Our retail loss prevention experts have you covered. Mobile patrol, close body protection, insured door persons, we've got your security needs covered from all angles. Background investigations and civil recovery programs, trust us for thorough solutions. Licensed by the Ministry of Solicitor General, fully insured and bonded. Visit www.corporateprotection.ca or call 1-800-827-1692 for top-notch security and private investigation services.
Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. top-of-the-line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.
And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian and local sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and Pocket Casts, as well as the Spanglish Network, Zingo TV, and Buzz TV Live. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All of our past great shows are there, as well as some cool clips and shorts. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. Thanks once again to Anthony Carelli for being on the program. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678.
Joe Tilley here. My wife Penny Claire and I recently took an amazing trip to Egypt and Jordan with Trip Oppo. And here are our top 10 must-dos. Number 8. The Rose Red City of Petra, Jordan, and a stay in a unique cave hotel. Visiting Petra was like stepping into a different world, a place where ancient architecture and natural beauty come together to create something truly spectacular. As I wandered through the narrow canyons and towering cliffs that surrounded the city, I felt like I was on an adventure in a hidden world, uncovering secrets and marvels at every turn. And the Cave Hotel was the perfect place to stay, like staying in a secret hideaway with cozy rooms carved right into the rock and breathtaking views of the surrounding landscape. I would highly recommend that you book your next trip through Trip Oppo. Call them today.
God damn it.
4! The Shot of the Week is brought to you by Sleepy Hollow Country Club. 60 years of tradition, providing a challenging and enjoyable golf experience just minutes from Toronto. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more.
Do you want to buy or sell a home? Could 31 years of real estate experience help you? Why not speak to an amazing team that loves to overpromise and overdeliver? Aldo has a tremendous team of experts on staff. They are committed to making your next real estate transaction smooth and comfortable. Call 416-GET-ALDO or visit getaldo.com.